ready for another lesson?
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Back Row Banter, your favorite casual movie talk podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Adam Schwartz, and on today's episode, we'll be talking about the movie La La Land.
La La Land.
Sorry, no, we're watching Moonlight, actually.
Oh, I see what you did there.
That was quick. That was a quick reference to the to that. But anyway,
topical.
Yeah, in 2016, 7 years ago. That's wild. That is wild. Joining me today, of course, is sexy.
Unknown caller.
Wow.
That's
who joined us.
That's who joined us, an unknown caller.
An unknown caller, but don't worry, guys. I took care of it. What are the odds that my phone happened to be attached to the Bluetooth the one time I get a spam call on pod? I should have answered. That would have been fun.
That would have been fun.
Damn.
We're calling about your car's extended warranty. Sexy Sax Nathaniel Gingrich.
That's me. I'm Sexy Sax Nathaniel, and I get spam calls too.
There you go.
You know, even the sexy people do.
Yeah, they don't discriminate with those spam calls.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Do you think like celebrities get spam calls, or do you think they have like
no, I don't think
private security agencies that handle that for them?
I don't think celebrities have phones.
No,
I think they just have someone else who has phones for them.
Oh, okay. That sounds nice. I think we've had this conversation on pod before, but did you ever play any instruments?
Yeah. I played drums in 4th and 5th grade.
That's right.
I played clarinet through 6th through 8th grade, and then I played handbells for like 7 years.
All right. How'd you get into handbells? They just needed someone to play the bells?
Pretty much. Yeah. My parents wanted me to do it because you learn to read both stems, bass and treble. Whereas like in clarinet, I only read the treble.
Right.
And drums, you obviously read differently as well too.
Yeah.
So
you're well versed.
Yeah. Handbells is just basically a giant piano. So.
Mm-hmm. And you've mentioned before you'd like to learn the piano.
No, I mean it'd be a useful skill.
Yeah, I think that's what you said, and you also said it was like you think it's. I think what you mentioned, and it stuck with me, is that you're like everything that's ever been played is right there. It's like the easiest kind of thing.
It is true.
Because you don't have to worry about how you're playing the instrument. You just press the key, and it's there. So I think there's something poetic about that for sure. Also joining me today is trombone Tyler Vidalis.
How's it going?
Did you play the trombone?
I did not.
Damn.
Played the tuba.
Ah.
I did not do that either.
Tuba tie. Oh, okay. Did you play again? I think we've all had this conversation at least once.
We have. I played piano for a little bit.
That's right. Can you still play?
I'd be able to like maybe make my way through some stuff, but nothing crazy.
I asked that question and I realized I got a little deja vu. I'm pretty sure I asked you that same question last time we had this conversation.
Probably.
Because I remember making a joke about can you play chopsticks or something.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Cross.
Yeah.
Buns.
Hot cross buns, that's a good one. Rounding out the squadron, or the combo. We'll go with that. Rounding out the combo today is big bass BlakeHolder.
What up?
Now, the bass in jazz terms.
Upright bass?
Yeah, is that like the big one?
Yeah.
Yeah, almost like a cello looking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Blake, instrument-wise, I forgot what you said last time we had this conversation.
I don't have any artistic skills to me by any. I can't play an instrument. I can't color. I can't draw.
Yeah.
All things I wish I could.
Sure. Yeah, I wish I'd spent more time drawing. That's definitely one thing I wish I was better at.
Well, that's one thing that you don't really get worse at, I suppose. Well, I mean, I guess maybe you do, but
yeah,
you got time.
True, I do have time. I could learn whatever I want to learn. I guess I just wasted.
Plus, I feel like
4 years.
with drawing or like some art things, there's certain like mediums that are like easier to cheat and like be kind of good at in some ways as well too.
Right. I
like
mean,
pottery looks decent no matter what you do.
That's not true. That is just false.
No, I was trying.
I've seen bad pottery.
That was one of those ones where I was like hoping I was going to come up with a better answer as I kind of started that sentence.
Yeah. Sure.
But guys, I truly feel like that. Like I feel like there's certain things, particularly in those like paint classes, where like everyone is there to paint one thing.
The Bob Ross ones.
Yeah, or you sip and paint or whatever. There's like little tricks that they'll do that like just add a touch of realism or a little bit of thing to it that I feel like you can cheat and make decent looking art, passable looking art, relatively easy.
I just realized I have this in my pocket. It's a Best Buy Plus and Total membership packet.
Got your collateral.
I'm not even gonna say anything. We're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. I don't want to get myself in trouble. Yeah. How was your guys' week? I feel like we recorded last week. I went home, had to pack immediately, go to sleep, woke up, drove 9 hours. And today I woke up, drove 9 hours, and now I'm recording the podcast again. I went on a trip and then I've just blinked and I'm back recording.
And here you are.
And here I am. I haven't even unpacked. I'm going to have to go home and unpack now.
Back at Back Row HQ.
Yes, where I belong. But it feels like it was one of those trips where it's like, God, it felt like so much happened. I feel like this happens most like vacations or trips you take, but it's like so much happens that it feels like forever that you're on that trip. Especially I was there for like a week, and
you get back and nothing's really changed.
You get back and it just feels like time was so short and so long at the same time. Like it feels like just yesterday I left, but then also I don't remember being here. You know what I mean?
I think someone said that time's relative once, but
yeah.
I don't know.
I think time's fake.
I reckon we might have a movie tell us some more things about time pretty quick here.
Are you talking about La La Land or Oppenheimer?
Oppenheimer.
Okay, wasn't sure. Yeah, I don't know what the time aspect is that he'll play with, but we'll see.
I reckon the movie starts with a 10, and then it's just a countdown. Like every 10 minutes in the movie, it like goes one more second down. It's like after the first 10 minutes, 9. Then after the next 10 minutes, 8. And then all the way down to 1.
So it's 3 hours.
Yep.
Maybe it starts at 30 seconds.
Sure.
But then I feel like that's dragging it out too long. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Or maybe there's just no time sequence and he made just a intense biopic and didn't make it Nolan-esque. But that doesn't sound like fun.
Yeah.
I saw on Twitter today some of the reviews are saying this is the most dense Nolan film yet. Which, given his films, if you've seen any of them, that's intense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this Barbenheimer double feature, I think, is going to be more strenuous than people might think.
I want people limping out of the cinemas.
I will be.
I want them crawling.
My screenings line up to where it's Barbie at 4:45 with subtitles, because I was like, just how this showings lined up, and I'm excited to see a movie with subtitles in the theaters. Always. I don't think I've seen one. I think I've seen one before, with closed captioning, but this was just kind of available at the right time for us, and I love, of course, I watch everything at home with subtitles. So I was like, I don't mind at all. In fact, I prefer it. But regardless, it's Barbie at like 4:45, and it's like, I think straight up almost 2 hours around there, and then Oppenheimer's 7:15 in the same theater. So it's like we really basically just have to sprint out of Barbie into Oppenheimer. Like there's just going to be no break. But I'm excited.
What if Barbie starts with an explosion?
Hilarious.
Like that's what sets the Barbie world apart, is they are a nuclear side effect. And some real like Hills Have Eyes shit.
This is just like the lucid dream that you have after you get
that Barbie
vaporized.
movie does look good though, fellas. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I'm
Ryan
excited.
Gosling, what a choice of casting.
I love him though. I love him. Is
Bit of sizzle.
What are the odds, fellas, that
What are the odds?
we come out of the Barbenheimer double feature or whatever, however you watch those movies, and we enjoy Barbie more than Oppenheimer? Do you think there's a world where that happens?
I don't know. I think it's
it's always in the realm of possibilities, but
well, isn't that kind of the point of the double feature though? Is that they're two great tastes that go great together. They're different tastes,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess that's part of it.
Maybe they're trying to be enough different that you wouldn't really worry about it too much, right? Right?
I'm just saying, like, are we gonna come out and think Barbie's actually the better movie? Like,
It could be. You got two Oscar winners going.
I think
Oscar winners now.
I think
Did Nolan win one?
Oppenheimer's like minus 230 though. It's the heavy favorite.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
minus 300.
You're going
like,
actual odds.
I think Oppenheimer's like minus 300. I really
those
do.
are heavy odds.
Yeah, I mean, just how everything's shaken up, I think it's it's heavy odds. But those are the lines, Nathaniel. Those are the lines where you ride the underdog. You know.
You're not
I stopped
wrong.
gambling, by the way, fellas. I'm not good at it, so don't listen to me. I don't know. All right, well let's get in. Speaking of Ryan Gosling and Barbie and all that, let's get into our main review here, Nathaniel. I guess fellas, but I was going with Nathaniel.
Yes.
If you want to read or start review, but I do have a request.
Uh-huh.
Can you give us the rundown, as if you were hosting, what's the Coyote Smooth Jazz channel?
You want the smooth jazz
maybe play
version
in.
of...
Maybe you could play in a little.
Do I have anything smooth?
I don't know if you have jazzy.
Not really.
Fair enough.
But the smooth jazz version of the intro.
If you feel so inclined, of course you do.
We'll
not.
see. Well, folks, here on Back Row Banter, the intro section is split into two sections. There's the non-spoiler section, and then there's the spoiler section. It's pretty self-explanatory. In the non-spoiler section, we'll go over the movie itself. Who wrote it, who directed it, all those cool cats and kittens that are in it. And we'll kind of go around the squadron, see if we like it. We have to decide yes or no. Do we recommend this movie? There is no nuance on the internet. And from then on, it'll be the spoiler time. I'll play the spoiler noise. And then we'll go into any deeper thoughts we have about the movie itself, any plot twists, all that kind of good stuff. But if you don't want to have anything spoiled before you, please do come back and listen to the rest of the episode. We'll put it in the episode show notes when you're ready to come back. And, yeah. Adam, tell me about La La Land. Your choice.
My choice.
Birthday choice.
My birthday pick. I'm now 23 years old.
It is your birthday. Happy birthday.
That's crazy, man. When I met you, what were you? You had me what? 17?
I was 18.
18?
Yeah. 5
Still
years.
young pup.
Shit. Yeah, I think this month is 5 years at Best Buy for me. On and off, of course. So
Yeah,
it feels like less bad saying that because I was at school being productive for 4 of those years, but half a decade. Yay.
Half a decade.
Hopefully not much longer. Man, I cut that.
Hey,
but anyway,
everyone needs a new job.
Well, yeah. I mean, regardless
yeah,
of the state of that store, it's.
You're coming out of college. You're
I'm
getting your
coming out of
first real
college.
job.
This was never a long term.
Entering the workforce.
Oh, I can't wait. Anyway, this is La La Land. Oh,
It's starting to rain.
that came out of nowhere for me. I didn't know it was
Certainly
supposed to
is.
rain,
Give me a second.
and now it's giving a downpour. I don't know,
Yeah.
fellas or listeners. I don't know if you can hear that, but it is now raining quite hard outside of Back Row HQ.
I actually hear that a little bit. That's crazy. It's raining that hard by you.
Yeah,
It's not raining by me
It just came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
Anyway,
but I should probably
while Nathaniel
this door right
closes
next
that
to this wide open.
patio
It's
door, I'll go ahead and give you guys the rundown. This is La La Land, released, as I mentioned earlier, in 2016. Rated PG-13 with a runtime of 2 hours and 8 minutes and an IMDb rating of 8.0 out of 10. My IMDb just refreshed itself. Okay. Directed and written by Damien Chazelle, who fans of the pod may know from Whiplash, which we have here on pod.
Hey.
Here on pod. My number one favorite movie. And in case you didn't know, pretty much this is number 2. It's top 3. I don't know if it's 2 or 3. There's a toss-up, but his 2 movies are certainly 2 of my favorites. We'll leave it at that.
Now, Whiplash, I understand, is a formative movie for you. Like, that came
Correct.
out while you were still early on.
Saw that for the first time when I was 14, I believe.
Sure. This one would have come out 2016, 2017?
2016?
2016? Okay.
Yes.
So you're 16.
I'm 16. Let me set the stage because I'm 16. Nathaniel, I walk into this theater just getting my first girlfriend
Oh man.
a couple weeks ago. Or yeah, I think that's how that lined up.
So this is why.
So I was primed. I was primed in perfect condition for a love story, and absolutely, of course, gutted.
I was gonna
by
say,
this
so
movie.
if you had seen Your Name instead of this movie
In 2016,
in 2016,
what are you asking?
would that instead be your favorite movie?
Potentially. I mean,
Big question early. I know. I'm sorry. I should have saved that for like the Entropy list or
Oh, no,
something
you're
instead.
fine. You're fine.
But I genuinely just thought of it off the top of my head because I think that also came out in 2016, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it did. I believe you are correct there. I don't know how to answer that because my love for anime and my appreciation for anime has greatly increased since 2016. In
Sure.
2016, all I'd really seen is Attack on Titan and Sword Art Online. That's where my anime knowledge and experience had really ended. Nothing much beyond that. And since then, it's kind of grown.
It's
and
expanded.
It's expanded. My appreciation has grown.
Matured,
so
as you
matured,
have.
yes.
Into a young man we see before us
of
today.
23 years old. God, I can't believe I'm saying that. Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah, sorry,
Probably-
I didn't mean to derail you.
Oh, you're totally
seconds into the review here, and
I
we're setting the scene still, if anything.
Yes, we are. But yeah, I did see this. I was definitely primed for this to be like, all right, my favorite director.
Sure.
Well, not my favorite director, but one of my favorite movies. It is his kind of follow up because this is his first follow up after
Right.
Whiplash.
And it's your first like movie. It's like
One of them.
we're adults. We're
One of-
watching
one of
movies
them.
now.
I mean, at this point, Whiplash is kind of what started like, okay, I want to start watching Oscar movies every year.
Yeah.
And so like this was now year 2 or 3 when this came
Yeah.
out. This is now like year 2, 3, or 4.
And you follow
around
this
there.
guy up. This is his second.
Yes,
his,
I've seen everything up until this point.
Yeah,
which is just one
right.
movie. But yeah, this is like year 3 of me. Like, oh, I'm gonna go try. Me and my dad are gonna go. Winter break comes around and we're spending.
But I
We're
can
seeing 4 movies in the theaters, watching all these Oscar
I can
rounds.
remember like feeling that way about like Inglorious Bastards or something, which comes out in like when I'm junior, sophomore year of high school, or for even freshman maybe, and I'm like, oh, the new Tarantino's out. Now I'm ready to contribute to the conversation as well too, right? You
Right.
know,
Yeah, this is definitely around that time. And my brother had seen this first and loved it, and he was like, "Hey, you guys got to go see this movie. It's fantastic."
hey, here's a great
So.
date movie
Yeah,
for
right.
you.
Right. The cast includes Ryan Gosling
Mhm.
and Emma Stone in the lead roles, which there's not a ton of other characters besides them. It is definitely just kind of them in the primary, taking up a lot of screen time. J.K. Simmons makes an appearance, almost feels like a little bit of a cameo, kind of like one of those roles where he was like, "Oh, I'll throw you this one because
You were in Whiplash.
you were in Whiplash and I love you." And
Help.
yeah. And then John Legend, I would say, is kind of the other biggest name / biggest role that you'd recognize, but it really is 95% Ryan Gosling, Emma Stone. Which is, if you're going to have a movie that has 2 main characters for 95% of it, those are 2 great actors to have. So,
Yeah. Is this our first Emma Stone pod?
ooh, I
It
don't.
might be, bro.
It might. You say that. I don't want to say that's true, but you might be right.
Is she in Forgetting Sarah Marshall?
No, I don't think so. I
Um,
feel like she's
yeah, I want to say she was on the
in
pod at some point.
something. I might just look
If
up her
not-
IMDb really quick because that's gonna be easier than looking at the Entropy.
If not, we've been missing her sorely. She's one of,
Oh,
I
sure.
think, that kind of mid-generation great actors.
Right. We don't have any.
No Birdman, no.
Zombieland, no Birdman.
Is her voice
no,
in something?
No
there?
Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, we might not. This might be our first Emma Stone.
She's not
Might
in
be.
No Way Home in any way, shape, or form. She's got no credit
No.
for that.
I think
Yeah,
you
I
said
think
neither
this
the
is.
neither of the Zombielands. No Superbad.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, man. Shout out Emma Stone.
Shout out Emma
Sure.
Stone. That's actually kind of sad that this is her first appearance
Welcome
because
to
I
the
agree.
I think
Entropy
we're all
list.
pretty big fans of hers. So welcome, her debut. Ryan Gosling, we have in The Notebook. What else? Anything else?
I think that's it.
Is that it?
The Gauze.
That stinks.
Yeah. There's another big Ryan Gosling film we got to put on here, fellas.
The Nice Guys.
That
I
could be
really
one.
like that movie. That movie's awesome.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have
so
not
do
seen
I.
that
So do
movie,
I.
actually.
I like that one.
What
but
do you
not
think?
quite
Blade
what I
Runner.
was-
Oh, I see what you're saying. Blade Runner. Yeah.
Yeah, Blade
Oh, yeah.
Runner 2049
That is definitely one we got to get on here at some point. It'll come.
for sure.
But yeah, I think he's only got The Notebook is the only other thing he's been on. So,
I think so, man.
and then we're gonna be adding him in 2 weeks with Barbie, or maybe 3 weeks. I don't figure out how the schedule kind of works out with that because I don't know if we're gonna do a double up for Barbenheimer, but we'll see. Anyway, that's your cast and director, writer, everything. Let me find IMDb again. There we go. The IMDb summary reads as follows. While navigating their careers in Los Angeles, a pianist and an actress fall in love while attempting to reconcile their aspirations for the future.
How do you feel?
Pretty good. That's a good one. Yeah. Not too revealing. Definitely gives you the gist of the setting is very important, of course. Their respective kind of career choices and dreams and aspirations, as I mentioned, are important. I guess it spoils that they fall in love, which
Oh, boy.
isn't apparent, in the first act, but is it ever? Who knows? Yeah, but no, I like that summary. First watches here. Blake, I think you said you haven't seen it before.
Yeah, this is my first watch.
Nathaniel,
Just,
yeah, go
not a
ahead.
big musical guy, so not a
Correct.
surprise.
Correct. Nathaniel, you disappointed me by saying it's not as good as I think it is, so I'm just gonna ignore you for a second. And then Tyler, you've seen this before, right?
I have not actually.
Oh.
This is one that I just always kind of push to the wayside.
Gotcha. Did you watch this with Leah?
Yes.
How'd she like it?
Hello?
Don't wanna.
Okay.
She's.
I don't want to get you in
Whoa.
trouble if that's.
No,
you can
I'm just
abstain.
saying. I guess for our sake,
Okay.
she would be. I think she would fall under a not recommend.
Okay. Fair enough. I do want to go to Blake though first, as you mentioned, Blake, not the biggest musical fan,
Yeah.
but this, although it is very much a musical, doesn't always feel like one. At least to me, I feel like the use of the musical aspects of the film don't necessarily fit the typical. It's not typical of what you think a musical is. In some ways. So I don't know. I think there's enough here besides the musical aspects and the songs and the dances and everything to enjoy that, even if you don't like those parts of it. It's not the entire movie. It's not a Greatest Showman or anything like that. So where do you come down on this? I was really curious to see how you'd come out.
Yeah. I mean, from watching it from somebody who's not into musicals, I would certainly say this motherfucker is a musical.
It is. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I like it more than The Greatest Showman, but honestly, I think that's more so because pretty big fan of Ryan Gosling through the Blade Runner 2049 series, or film, I should say. And I do like, and part of me, the director's name is
Damien Chazelle.
Thank you, Damien Chazelle. So with having Whiplash on there and just kind of being aware of that, that's something I was aware of going into this one, that it's by the same director, and I know he put out good work last time. So I mean, it worked for me. There's things outside of the musical that are interesting between character development, character dynamics right between each other. But I don't know. I still think, from my perspective, I would say this isn't something that I would watch again, but I could totally understand how somebody who's into this genre would certainly be high on it, as in example you, right? So I would go ahead and recommend it because I think most people are probably more so on that line, and that's why this film is notoriously held to be one of the better films. So I would say you can go ahead and recommend off that aspect.
Fair enough. Now, Nathaniel, why do you hate this movie and why do you hate me so much?
I don't hate this. I don't hate this movie. No, this movie was just one of those ones that came to me at a time in my life where I was not very ready to accept it, I guess. I just didn't really vibe with it very much at the start. It's one for me that it just doesn't make sense in my brain. Things like it's one that I genuinely like. I can give you reasons why I don't necessarily vibe with it a whole lot, but it's also like they're not necessarily like firm reasons or like, you know, textual things that I can point out to, like I don't necessarily agree with this or anything like that. It's just it just does not speak
Sometimes
to
you
me
just
in
don't
that
click.
way. Yes, I just don't click, you know.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I like about it. I like Gosling. I like Emma Stone. I think anytime they're together on screen, they have great charisma. I think they're electric to watch. I think, you know, their whole interplay with each other and how they handle it scene to scene and the character work is excellent. I think Chazelle has a good sense of composition, and I think he's got a really nice sense of color. In particular, like I like that this movie makes really distinct costume choices for its characters. They're very bold. They are primary colors generally, and they pop out, particularly because I feel like the rest of this movie is shot kind of very flat and neutral, which for me means that it is not as there's not as deep of a focus to the movie as much. So like it to me certain shots just don't seem as they seem a little fuzzy to me, or not as clear. And it's like one of those things is once I started noticing it, I kind of couldn't stop noticing it.
Sure.
From a musical standpoint, the way that it breaks from musical tradition is by this kind of having it be almost a two-hander between Emma Stone and Gosling. And while both of them are incredible actors, they're not who I think of as musical theater actors either.
Right.
And so there's an element of musicals that is generally this extra performative level, right? This like you're singing in the rains. Gene Kelly's one of the greatest on-screen dancers we've ever seen. Now that's an unfair comparison,
Of course.
obviously, but even like in comparison to like, I'm not sure that there's a single dance sequence or anything that's up to the Hugh Jackman, Zac Efron bar scene in
Greatest Showman.
Greatest Showman. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Or the other one I was thinking of is, has anyone else seen Hail Caesar, the Coen brothers one, where Channing Tatum plays a sailor actor that's he's in a musical where he's playing a sailor in a bar and that's doing a whole dance number, and like Channing Tatum's an ex-dancer, like he's really good in those kind of things. So like, as much as on the charisma story film side of having Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling on there, I feel like where it somewhat lets me down a little bit is on the musical side of things. So yeah, and then it's a much smaller movie than I remember it being in some ways, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just something I noticed on this rewatch. And the last kind of thing that I will say is, for me, there are some plot points in this where I just don't understand necessarily why they happen.
Sure.
And I will, I guess, talk more about that. I want to be sold on this movie. Like I feel like I'm in the minority in general with not being as taken with this movie. So I'm willing to change my mind, but this is my third time seeing it, and I just am having trouble engaging with it on that next level, I guess.
I understand. I will see if I can help get you there.
Okay.
Because I've watched this movie now countless times, I think. Probably over 8 at this point, all total. So I've seen it quite a few times, and I've done, I wouldn't necessarily say research, but I've seen videos here and there and stuff like that, talking about the production of it, as well as like things to do with the colors and whatnot, as you were referencing with the costumes and stuff. So I think there's a lot to be unpacked if you want there to be, but I can understand how like surface level, just watching it through, may leave some things to be desired. And I guess it gripped me the first time. That's why I looked into those things. But maybe I can give you guys some knowledge that will hopefully enlighten you guys. I mean, I understand why the two of you aren't like, and I don't even know, I haven't had Tyler talk yet, so I don't know where he's at. But I can understand why this isn't for everybody. This is not one of those ones where I'm going to defend it till I die kind of thing. Whereas like Whiplash, come fight me, because that movie's awesome. But yeah, no, I definitely understand there may not be appeal for everybody. That being said, Tyler, I do want to know where you come down, this being your first watch, of course.
Let's talk about it.
All right. That's usually what we do on the podcast, yeah.
Let's talk about it and put it in a place where a mass amount of people can listen to it.
Okay.
All right.
I like that.
So
you should start.
Yeah, I think, I don't know why. It just, and I'm a big musical person. I didn't click. We didn't click. I don't know why. I even had Leah with me, and she's a musical person. And yeah, I don't know. It just it wasn't a vibe for us. And I'd be interested to do a rewatch, a couple of years from now to see if it's still like that. But currently, I'm on the not recommend side. A lot of it is because I feel like a lot of the musical numbers kind of felt a little flat to me, kind of how Nathaniel was referencing some things were filmed kind of flat. That's how some kind of the musical acts kind of came along. To me, there were only a couple times where I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like I can vibe with this. I'm kind of feeling it. And then it would just kind of go the opposite direction for me right away. I love these two on screen together. They obviously have other movies together. They're also there's a lot of chemistry between them, so you can definitely see the sparks fly. But I think that's probably like the most redeeming factor about this movie. I'll get to the kind of like the stylized kind of outfits and everything that they had kind of chose for them. And just, I guess, kind of like my nitpicky stuff. But other than that, without going into too much detail, yeah, I think I'm going to be a pretty solid not recommend.
Now, I just want to clarify. So it seems like nothing clicked for you. Like you aren't even like, oh, it's not as good as I want it to be or have heard it is. It just sounds like it was by and large a miss for you.
Yeah, for the most part.
Man.
There are some things that I do like. It does have some redeeming qualities, but I think on the list of musicals that I kind of have that are ones that I would definitely go back to, I think this is kind of fallen to the wayside for me. I want to go back to it, like I said, in a couple of years and see if it's still like that for me. But yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
and I'm a musical guy.
I know that's why I said that. I'm surprised. I really thought you were going to be.
It's a love story, and
I thought this would be right up your alley for the most part. You just hate jazz? Is that what it is?
No, I fucking love jazz.
Then I really don't know what missed for you, man. It's got the recipe for.
I know. I really think because it's like, and maybe it's because it had so much hype.
I
from
think
other
that could be a little
because not necessarily from you, because I've heard it before. Because this,
right.
I think Nathaniel pretty much basically said it like this. We probably fall on the non-majority side. I can't think of a word right now.
Minority.
Yeah, sure. There we go. And because I heard it from Justin for years. He's like, oh, this movie's so
yeah.
And maybe it's because he was going like right into film school probably like when this came out. And kind of doing like his broadcast stuff and everything. So like maybe he was like being, over critical of it and kind of, saying what everybody else was saying. But yeah, I heard a lot of hype from a lot of different people about this movie, and maybe it just got too hyped for me. But yeah, I think it was mainly just the musical acts and the numbers that I just really didn't click with any.
Fair enough. That surprises me, man. Just because I got out of this movie and like just played the soundtrack for like a week after. Even back when it came out, it was just hit on all chords for me personally. I'm definitely recommend.
Okay, but that's getting into. I want to talk about that more too. So can we get into this guy? I want to.
Yeah.
Let's dig into it because like
Right.
I recognize that this movie is good and that people like it and that kind of thing. So I
made
really
and
do want to recommend it. It's just one of those things where I'm like hearing your passion behind it and knowing people's feelings about it and that kind of thing like makes me want to be like, yeah, people should go and see this movie and see for themselves what they feel, right? But yeah, let's talk about it some more. So let's get through the recommendation thing here.
Yeah. I'm a recommend. Nathaniel?
We can recommend it. I'll
You'd
go on
recommend
record
it.
as
Okay.
recommend. Yeah.
Okay. Blake,
Yeah, I'll do a recommend.
you're doing recommend. Oh, you're right. And Nathaniel or Ty, you said you're not a recommend, yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. Well, we're gonna go figure out and get to the bottom of all this, and I'm gonna change all their minds. So if you want to, if you haven't seen La La Land and don't want to spoil it for you, go ahead, check that episode description. You can find the timestamp to jump to where you'll be taken to the movie, taken to our ranking of the movie up upon our Entropy list. What do we have for spoilers this week?
Record
Classic.
scratch.
Love it.
Freeze frame.
Shit dances around.
Shit dances around and goes down. Okay. Talk to me here. The John Legend song. Is it supposed to be good or bad?
Which the We Don't Start the Fire one?
Yes.
See, I like that song on its own personally.
Well, yeah, because that's the thing. So, like, why have a song
It's
in your movie which is supposed to be good but bad? Like, I don't understand why things happen in this movie. Adam, help.
So I think with that song in particular, it's supposed to be a good song. Like, he's in a good band. It is successful. You're supposed to like it, but you're supposed to understand that it's not even jazz. Like, you
Right, I
listen to
get
that
that.
song, it's not jazz.
It's not,
you know?
right.
So I don't think it's supposed to be a bad song. I think it is supposed to be good to kind of demonstrate like, oh, this is why this band's having success, but it's also demonstrating why he shouldn't be happy. It's because he's not doing what we've seen him say and heard him say he wants to do since the beginning of the film. He's doing it because he overheard Mia talking to her mom and misinterpreted that as, oh, she wants me to have a steadier job. And so that leads him down that path. And it's hard to, I wouldn't say it's hard to pick up on that, but it is something that's relatively easy to miss. There are a lot of details here and there that kind of give you better ideas of why things happen that are pretty small and slight.
But why did he not like John Legend anyways? And even Mia says that. She's like, why don't you like him?
That's
and then there's never really a
elaborated.
good reason why he
That's
doesn't, other than
correct.
like he's just kind of petty and then sells out too, right? Like,
Correct. There is not really good reason for it. You just kind of are led to assume they just butted heads when they went to school together.
okay.
The thing that threw me off this watch was like when he first gets to the jam sesh, the rehearsal.
Yeah.
And they're sitting down talking afterwards, and the guy's like, "You're really good, but you're an asshole." I'm like, why would you invite him in the band if you're just gonna be like, you're an asshole? Like, that part was like a little, yeah. Not everything there makes complete sense because it's sometimes they look all buddy. Sometimes even when he's in the band for seemingly months doing like that photo shoot scene, they seem great,
Yeah.
but then also there's tension throughout. With their relationship, but I agree, it's a little bizarre when you kind of think about the greater context of it all.
So that was the other thing that I felt too was that the movie was trying to in some ways emulate these big musicals from the past, right? That was its love letter to Hollywood. That was the La La Land part of it, right? But it is very, very difficult to get an audience to buy in on that, or to get me to buy in on that when it is seen through the lens of these two characters almost exclusively. And when you think of those Hollywood musicals from the past, part of it was these giant show-stopping moments with 40 dancers, or the big kind of musical moment where you get the deep focus on the main character. Maybe she sings an aria, or he has his big emotional soliloquy, or whatever the musical theater term would be. But like this movie, yeah, you have these great musical moments and shout outs, but then there's an extended period of the runtime for about 45 minutes where there's like almost no music,
right?
And that's it felt like, I guess to me, that it was like almost trying to have its cake and eat it too, where it's like it's emulating these other things that are well known and are that kind of stuff, but also kind of like trying to be a little bit too cute about it, maybe in some ways, for my opinion, or my viewing of it in that way. Maybe that's why I kind of brush against it so much.
So here's the thing I've come to realize about this film, and it's gonna be a little hard to for me to verbalize this, because it's just kind of conceptually I can visualize it, but verbalizing it's gonna be a little bit more difficult. It's a hybrid almost. It's simultaneously paying homage to those musicals, but then riffing on them, and paying homage to LA, and then ripping on LA, and then paying homage to the love stories of Hollywood, and then ripping on them, and also trying to kind of find this where's the line between this fantasy of Hollywood movies and reality, where they're both chasing their dreams, they're both living in the kind of this fantasy world where they're dancing the stars, which I will admit that I hate that sequence. That's like the one thing.
I don't mind that one as much, really.
Besides that point, though, it's kind of like where is the line between when Hollywood ends and life begins? Like, should you go on and chase your dreams that you see in these movies, or should you actually just face reality, which is obviously something these characters face? And the movie itself uses the classic Hollywood style almost of these musicals, even down to the costumes we mentioned are they're modern, but they're relatively kind of almost retro. He's very traditional, kind of in the shirts and skirts and the dresses that she wears and everything like that. So it's using all of this together to kind of create a hybrid of yes, he wants to pay homage, but he's also kind of riffing on those musicals a little bit, and how Hollywood not only has evolved, but then where we end up now, where do you want that happy ending all the time? And is life really are you ever really going to get that happy ending in life? And these hyper fantasies of those musicals, it's kind of blending those hybrids to kind of give you an idea, or trying to lead you along the lines of where does all this land when you kind of look at it in LA, then in the greater scale of Hollywood and entertainment in general, and real life love stories versus Hollywood fantasy love stories and everything like that. And that's what that sequence is at the end, of course, where that is their Hollywood movie. If this was a traditional Hollywood musical, they would have fallen in love immediately in that bar that she finds him playing piano.
Right.
He would have told Keith no. He would have found out money other way to get his club, and she would have gotten the audition, and her play was this massive success, and they live happily ever after. That's the happily ever after ending. That whole and it's long too. It's 6 to 9 minutes or something like that. At the end, that's the happy ending that you would have had if this were a Hollywood film or Hollywood musical in, say, the 50s, 60s, around that time. But that's not what this is. This is it's paying homage to those, while also kind of giving more of a weight to it and more of a reality to it. Did any of that make sense? Like I said, I was trying to verbalize it as best as I can.
I get where I get where you're coming from with the idea of the hybrid and obviously the using the structures of the old Hollywood musical to kind of build a more quote unquote realistic love story around there, and kind of use those to kind of interrogate the old structure, right? And subvert it, right? But I don't feel like the movie justifies that choice enough for the characters. Okay. The argument that they have that really kind of kicks off the split towards the end, right? Where he's on the road and she's studying or rehearsing for the stuff. Like, it's realistic in how it plays out, but it still is one of those things where I just was screaming at the screen the whole time, like, this is not an argument. Like, it doesn't need to be kind of like this kind of thing,
sure,
you know?
that does feel a little forced as like,
this is the reason you're
This
breaking
is-
up.
right.
And I think that, like, that argument in and of itself would work better, but and this goes back to where some of the structure, I think, starts to hinder the movie, where you have the, like, fall, summer, winter, spring kind of, like, sections on
Right.
there. And because it is having those things, you only really get, like, one scene with the characters in each of those moments. So it doesn't feel as organic or as connected to each other throughout. You're really only getting these snapshots rather than more
Sure.
of that connective tissue, which in a different movie, maybe you have a song that goes through that whole sequence and that kind of thing, or you know, you tie that in a little bit more or something. But in this one myself, like, I just felt I understood the arc of where they were going, and I understood of why they happened. I understood where the movie was going with it. But at the end of the day, it was also one of those things at the end of it where I was just like, but it didn't, but why? Why did you make those choices other than, like, that's what we wanted to do at that point? You know what I mean? Or that's the story I had written. I don't know. It just didn't feel as, what's the word I'm looking for? And I'm trying not to. I don't know. Someone else talk for a little bit. I've been ranting and we've been interrogating and talking back and forth about this for a few minutes here. Blake, I need to collect my thoughts here for a second.
You know, I guess touching on my point for, like, the stylization choices, I really didn't care for them being in, like, the 1950s, 1960s kind of era for, like, their clothing choices. I just didn't care for it. I get it, like, that's kind of like their style, and they're both artists in their own kind of way. But I think I would have preferred it to see the entire movie either in that setting or in, like, this 2009, 2015 setting that they were potentially in, because, like, all their friends dress that same way too, and then she gets in a fucking Prius, and it kind of, like, just takes me out of, like, whatever era I kind of want them to be in. If everything was just sort of dated the way that it was supposed to be, and then that was just kind of like their personal style choice, it would have been more believable to me versus, like, everybody around them being stuck in their era, but then it's still not. So I think that was kind of one of the things that really kind of pulled me in and out of where I thought I kind of was or where I wanted to be. And then, yeah, I don't know why. I just, pretty much every musical number, it just never really, like, stuck with me. The most like, memorable musical number that I have is when they're in the observatory, and I didn't even like that one. I thought that was the worst one.
No, it's
But it's
100%
the
worst
most
one.
memorable one, and I'm like, well, that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So
I just, to me, the musical part of this is, like, irrelevant's a strong word, but it's irrelevant to me almost. Where, like,
Sure.
I like the music in this, but I'm not watching this movie second. Yes, there you go. Yes, Nathaniel off mic goes secondary instead of irrelevant. It's definitely secondary to me, where the story of these characters is certainly what attracts me to this movie more than anything. I'm not looking for this movie to be a Greatest Showman entertaining musical in that way. I think the musical aspects of this just accent the themes of the romance and the themes of the movie. I don't think to me, they're not. I'm not looking for them to take the primary theme or
Carry the weight of the dramatic
there you
structure.
Go. Thank you. Yes, that's a perfect way to put it. I don't look at that to carry the weight of it. And that's just me. And of course, like, it is a musical objectively, like, there's no questioning it, but I just don't see it as one necessarily.
sure.
Yeah, and I think one thing to kind of jump in here too is Adam's mentioning how kind of being the musical is secondary and how the characters are able to carry the weight. I mean, I think that is one of the better attributes of this, opposed to The Greatest Showman. So even that scene where Emma Stone scenes Ryan. What is it? Me and Seb.
Sebastian.
Yeah. Where she runs into him again, like at the end, it's the first time they see each other in a while. And he has that jazz club.
Mm-hmm.
That's just kind of a very, I don't know, I don't want to say overbearing, right? But that's an emotional scene, right? Where you can kind of see the characters' feelings towards each other. And I think those are beats that we're missing when I'm watching like The Greatest Showman, where I'm like, this definitely isn't for me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where this at least does have other components of actual characters and emotional undertones and things of that nature that I at least find valuable.
Yeah, I would 100% agree. And I do love that scene too, where he's kind
Yeah,
of
that's
explaining
probably my
jazz to her and
favorite scene, bro.
everything. Yeah, it's really good.
Ryan Gosling is an underrated comic actor.
Oh, he's so good.
And he's very gifted in like kind of little moments of comedy.
Yeah.
Which I think Emma Stone matches him in as well too.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite like rom-com pairings in terms of actress. And
have you seen Crazy
actor.
Stupid Love?
I've not.
Crazy Stupid Love, dude.
Okay.
Yeah, you should check that out.
Who is that?
That's
I
Ryan
don't
Gosling
think
and
I've
Emma
seen
Stone.
It's these two.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Steve Carell
Oh,
and
okay.
Marissa Tomei.
I didn't know that. I definitely want to check that out now.
Yeah.
Steve Carell.
Cool. That's great to know. I didn't even know that was a thing.
It's
I've heard of that.
phenomenal.
I heard of that movie. I didn't know they were in it.
It's really fun.
Definitely watch it with your girlfriend.
Okay.
Great date movie, for sure.
All right. But yeah, I love these two on screen. I do. And I do think they carry any weight that's kind of like they carry this film 100%, and they kind of.
And maybe that plays into my thing, like subconsciously. That's just like I've
That's not what
seen
you
them in a
want?
different
Oh,
love
I
story.
see.
I thoroughly enjoy that movie more.
Sure.
Maybe that plays into it a little bit too.
What I found myself missing was each one of them needed a buddy.
Sure.
You know, and like I almost thought we were starting to get that at the beginning with Emma Stone's. She had the roommates,
She had the
and
roommates
everything,
and
and like
Ryan Gosling's sister.
yeah, and Rosemary DeWitt, who's very underappreciated in this movie. I think she's great, and she's a good actress as well too.
Yeah.
But like that is something else you get in musicals as well too. Is they generally have like a 1-2 pairing, like in West Side Story. You have like the other two as well too. And like I think they just needed something to kind of counterbalance them maybe just a little bit.
Sure.
What was the other thing I was going to say? That I think it was something that I appreciated about them. I think the camera work is good in this. I think
it is. Man.
It's a very mobile camera.
It is and it isn't, because one of the things I love about this too is it's all shot on tripod dolly. It's very steady, but then there that breakup scene. I don't know if you guys noticed this, and it took me a watch or two to notice this. It switches to handheld once the souffle alarm goes off. The smoke detector goes off,
Sure.
he burned the souffle. It switches to handheld for I think the only time in the movie, and it's just like subtle stuff like that. I love. I absolutely love. And when the other scene in the jazz club where he's playing the piano and it's panning between her dancing and him playing the piano, that's not Birdman. That's him. Like there's shots of Damien Chazelle. He's got his cameraman. It's on a dolly. It's on a track so that it can only really go in one. It swings in one way, and he's tapping on the shoulder. And that's not really something I thought that was digital.
Gotcha.
I thought that was like they're cutting pans and hiding those cuts in between. That's all done in one shot. In camera. And so it's stuff like that I think goes a long way. And
For sure.
I do think the colors in this, from their costumes to the blue, and I think that will play in a lot with your whole fuzziness thing. The color grading on this, they just shot the blue lumetric curve up up a ton.
Sure.
And I think that is just going to affect how this film looks in a lot of the scenes where they want to pull out those blues or other colors, whatever it is. So the coloring, I think, plays in a lot with how you guys felt about it being flat in some parts, and when it's very colorful at the same time. There is something not unnerving or odd about it, but it's not. It doesn't quite look right. And even my girlfriend, who isn't into movies or anything, was like, "This film doesn't look real." And I'm like, "That's kind of part of it." But yeah, I definitely see what you guys are saying there. But yeah, the coloring and everything in this movie too, because it's down to like he's the tan kind of wardrobe. His apartment's pretty dry of color until he meets her, obviously, and then his wardrobe gets a little more colorful, and just small stuff like that. Even down to like we have the movie on the background, but noticed this time around when they're at the pool party.
Mm.
And he's wearing the red jumpsuit and she's got her yellow dress on. But he plays the song and they go to talk to each other, it's just so smart where when he cuts to Ryan Gosling, yes, he's wearing red, which is really the only time we see him in that much color. I think until towards the end of the film, but he's against a tan beige wall, and you cut back to her and it's green background and everything. It's just like small stuff like that I love. And it's so subtle that you like I said, I've watched this movie countless times and I'm still finding small details like that and how they choose to color this film and the mise en scène, if you will, Nathaniel, of it all. I think is really well done here because the colors change and everything with how the relationship is going and where they're at and stuff. I think that's all really well done. I love the look of this movie personally. I understand why you guys might not. And to Tyler's point earlier, where he was saying, it's felt like you kind of wanted them to commit one way or the other, right? Ty, it sounded like either go all the way to 50 or be more modern. You didn't like how it was in between. I personally love the blend. I think they did it really well. Where to me, all this does feel modern. It's very subtle that they're kind of more towards 50s. Style in terms of their dress. It's noticeable, obviously you can tell, but it's not over. It's not over the head with it. Where it feels like, oh, this is old fashioned clothes in a modern setting. It just feels more of like a modern taste of 50s style. But
interesting.
I totally get how you kind of want to lean one way or the other.
Yeah,
it's definitely,
I do love the colors, kind of like what you guys said. And then I think one of my favorite parts was when they're actually in the studio. Kind of walking around and she's like in the coffee shop and he's like, I literally had to like run through the gate to get here.
Yeah.
So
that was so good.
It's cool to see that dynamic, or like when like there's always something kind of happening behind him. I thought that was a pretty cool kind of way to shoot that.
Oh yeah. And then
I'm sure it's probably really like that.
Oh, Hollywood or the coffee shop?
Just like how they would like. They were like quiet on set and then they would film and they were sitting there like still talking in the background while something was happening. And then as soon as they cut, they were like, okay, cool, we continue walking.
Oh, it's from my limited experience on like film sets in quotes, because it was just like college stuff, but like and stuff like that. Yeah, that's definitely
on a true studio on a soundstage. There's not 1 inch of that place that is not used at some point,
right?
For some reason,
right.
and anything like that.
Yeah.
You don't need much space. Yeah, I thought that was a really nice scene as well, too, in which
it is
was the other side of it where I feel in some ways that like the film critique side of this is very pointed and very kind of structured, but the jazz music side of it is a little bit more undercooked because I don't think Gosling's character goes over as much of a transformation as Stone's does. Where Stone really has to, her kind of thing is buy into her dream, go for it, whatever else be damned, live your dream out. His is much more, well, he already has that kind of thing, but he's got to get money to do it, basically, and he just happens to sort of sell out a little bit kind of thing, Right. It's just not as clear cause and effect as I think Stone's character's arc is.
Yeah, I think part of it, for me at least, is I think as a watcher of the film, you're kind of supposed to empathize with the whole. What do you prioritize? Do you prioritize the relationship?
Sure.
Do you prioritize your career or your dreams and your aspirations and stuff? And where do you find that balance? And can you find that balance with the person you're with? And I think that plays in. I think as like a viewer, you're supposed to kind of just already empathize with that struggle. And for me at least, I'm able to bridge that gap. But I can totally understand, and I agree with you. There's not all there objectively. Yeah. It's not all there. It's not all clear. But personally, I think that's a very interesting.
Well. I think it's where with Stone's it is plotted out throughout the movie itself. His is much more kind of the B plot that's going on in the background kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's not as tied into the emotional arc of the movie, I suppose. Maybe
right.
Is the other
His
part
is
of
much more reactionary.
Yeah, and it is the driving force for her change in some ways as well too. So it's not as you don't go through the same catharsis that she does. You know, like she has the big emotional ant story
I see.
that is the
Yeah, I
climax
could
of the movie kind of thing.
I would agree with that. Yeah. Let's talk about the ending. How'd you guys feel about the ending?
It
So obviously there's the reveal of it's 5 years later.
yes.
It's the final part of Winter, and she's coming home. She's now the model that everyone's offering to get coffee, or the actress, and all that, which is I love that little kind of full circle ending, little call.
Yeah, I didn't mind it at all. I think that's just because that's reality. You you make sacrifices in some cases for your dreams, and you're gonna make them happen. And yeah, I knew it was gonna happen as soon as they both said, I will always love you.
Yeah.
Like as soon as that's there, I was like, all right, cool. So they're not gonna be together.
Right.
So kind of saw it
For sure.
coming, but I thought it was really cool. It's definitely something that I think nowadays is a lot more relatable to be able to say that you love somebody, but like I don't need to be in love with you to have that. Like I can still see you from a distance and be happy for you,
Mm-hmm.
and
sure.
and just kind of like leave it at that. So yeah, I think that's perfectly fine. I actually didn't mind the ending. Carolia hated it.
So did my girlfriend. She was pissed.
It's an ending that I think if you're not bought in on the concept of like you're talking about paying homage to the old Hollywood musical but skewing away from it into the realistic side of it, it's an ending that I think is frustrating because it goes out of its way to show that it could have worked if you read it that way. If you don't read it as, well, this is the Hollywood musical but this is reality, and instead read it as this is what they were going through and then this is what could have happened, it's just kind of a very frustrating end overall in that sense. But to both what Tyler and you have said, I do like that it ends on that bittersweet tone for sure, and it is that, well, we're all gonna be okay in the end kind of thing.
Right. It was all
worth it.
It was
but
all. It was. Yeah. Well, that's the question. Kind of leaves you with, and I've heard someone say this about Damien Chazelle's films, but like the main themes in his films so far have been, is it all worth it? With Whiplash, it was, is it worth sacrificing everything in your life to just become a world-class drummer? Where he breaks up with his girlfriend, he's got a rough relationship with his his relationship with his dad doesn't get shaky, but obviously there's some strain there and strain with his schoolwork and all that stuff. Like, but is it all worth it? Like he got his dream, but like at what cost? And this is kind of the same idea. Was it worth it? To me, like that ending is so, we say it's bittersweet. To me, it's more bitter than sweet. Especially in the terms of Ryan Gosling's side, and that's where I think his story and his arc kind of has its best beats. Is that last shot where you can tell he's not okay with, he does regret kind of what happened.
You think that's what it is?
To me, that's what that look is,
Okay.
because she seems much more okay with everything that happened than he does. And I think that's what gets me for this ending is, yes, they are both okay. Yes, they both got their dreams, but it wasn't what he wanted, and but she's okay with it, and he's not. To me, that's how I read it. And of course, you can read it either way. It's very subjective, I think, and I think it's meant to be that way. But for me, it's he regrets giving her up to let everything happen the way it happened, even though he got his dream and he's happy and doing well, and so is she. To me, it's like the fact that he regrets it, but she clearly isn't that upset about it, or at least doesn't regret it as much as he does.
Damn.
Yeah, that's personally how I read it. But of course, everyone's entitled to their own opinion on that.
Final thoughts?
I love this movie still. I'm sorry you guys don't.
You don't have to be sorry.
Yeah, don't apologize. But I will, like I said, I will be interested to potentially go back to this in a couple of years and see if I flip flop one way or another, and maybe take out a lot of the dynamics that are potentially pushing me one way or another.
Yeah, Tyler, I think for you, I think your expectation of it being a musical probably threw you for a loop a little bit. I think if you downplay those expectations a little bit and don't expect it to be a Greatest Showman and look more of it as like just a regular romance, I think hopefully that could sway it a little bit for you. But from what I hear from you, it seems like you were just disappointed it wasn't the musical you thought it was going to be. At least that's some of it. So I don't know if that would change anything for you.
I hope it does, but yeah, we'll see.
All right.
There's a lot of big art in this movie.
Just like art pieces? Or?
Yeah, like in the background and stuff. You notice that?
I did not, but
Yeah, good
I'll
point.
when I watch it next week, I'll let you know.
Fair enough.
Adam, how many times have you seen this? What watch are you on for this?
Honestly, like I don't know the exact
North
number.
of 5?
Oh, it's way north of 5. Yeah, it's at least
North of 10?
It's probably north of 10, but not by much.
Oh,
You charted like 10 on Your Name in like a year. Like
I did chart 10 on Your Name in probably less than 6 months.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was just showing people that movie because it was one that I knew no one really knew about.
Right.
So
It was
like
the viral sensation of you.
yeah, and I was in my fraternity house during quarantine, so what else were we gonna do?
It's a good point.
So I was just like, guys, and everyone in my house, not everyone, but a lot of the guys were big anime fans. So it was just like, guys, you guys got to watch this. You guys are gonna love it, and they did. Yeah, this one I think I'm close. I'm over 10, but this might be 10 or around there. But yeah, it's quite a few. Quite a few.
Well, let's rank it and get on out of here.
This is gonna be so sad for me.
Rank it and spank it.
Whoa, hey,
New term.
rank it and spank it. Is that gonna be a pod staple now? I really
think so.
don't know if it should be.
I mean, I don't see why not.
All right. Well, welcome back, listeners who skipped over the spoiler segment of the podcast. We're gonna go ahead and throw this up upon our Entropy list. For those of you who do not know, our Entropy list is our big list of every movie we have reviewed, regardless of regardless of genre, regardless of anything else, all in one fantastic list. It's essentially how we rate our movies, rather than do it out of 5 stars, out of 10, whatever it is. We throw up all the movies we review on a list and see how they compare to one another.
Romantic movie-ish musical. There's not a whole lot you can really compare this one to, isn't it?
It's pretty unique.
No, it's almost a 1 of 1 on the Entropy list right now.
Notebook would be
Notebook, obviously Your Name at the top of the list. There's somewhat 9 Days-ish-esque stuff in there too, we'll say, maybe. If we're talking about just emotional movies.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
You might be able to put that in there.
You could roll it, yeah. I was like, that's not a musical.
No, it's definitely not a musical, no. Then moving up, yeah, I guess you got like Pinocchio as a musical. Any of the Disney stuff is Frozen's. And then, yeah, Notebook, that kind of area. Okay, let's see.
$104.
Oh, you're not real.
I'm
person.
sorry.
You're not a real.
I'm
person.
sorry.
So I was originally looking at this and I was like, ooh, okay. You know, you kind of put it into tiers, right? When you're ranking.
Yep.
And I'm like, it seems to be quite a drop off from like 103 to 104, right? Because you look at like 99, 100, Straight Outta Compton, Tenet, The Black King,
Blind Spotting,
and then Men,
holding it down.
and then Ghostbusters, right? So I'm like, okay, there is a pretty sizable gap there. So I kind of see what Ty's thinking on that. Do you care to elaborate on that, Ty? But I see where you're going.
Yeah, so I think as a movie, structurally, this is better than probably, I would say, pretty on point with anything from like 80 to 104. But it doesn't stand out to me in any of there anyways. But as far as like movies that have musical or music in them, and still kind of have like an artsy stylized way to them for things that were done better. For me, it's Straight Outta Compton and Blind Spotting. So I think, that's I fucking hate. I can't say hate, but I strongly dislike Men. Like, we're just not friends. So I think there's a pretty big gap there, like you said. That
This
kinda needs
just
to be
in.
filled.
Tyler
And
hates Men.
I hate to, basically drive a stake through Adam's heart here by putting it down that far, but
Yeah, no, I am
that's
quitting
where
the
I'm at.
podcast. Actually, someone else can upload this.
So, and the Notebook. I mean, so 104.
This is better than the Notebook.
Adam, I don't have it that low.
Thank you. So number one.
No, not number one. I'll tell you what. Here's where I'm getting stuck. Okay.
Let's hear it.
On an emotional side of things, I'm getting stuck with Weathering with You.
Ha ha ha.
Which for me is a movie that that's kind of my anchor point where I'm not sure that I would be able to put it above that. But there are some movies above that on the list where I'm like, ooh, I don't know, this is a well-made movie, and there is some stuff on there. So the things like your Tokyo Drifts, your Bullet Trains, which are, I think, movies that we like as well too, beyond just maybe their nuts and bolts. That we like them more than some of their parts. So I think for me though, I'm gonna have to put it at 67. Below Paid in Full, above District 9.
Okay.
It's kind of right below the tier where I think this is a better made movie than Shang-Chi. I think it's a better made movie than probably maybe well, that's kind of where I'm starting to look at that point as well too. Yeah. So yeah, that's where I'm gonna have it. 67. Below Paid in Full, above District 9.
All right.
Okay.
You're dead.
Yeah, where I'm kind of.
Be careful, Blake.
Yeah, I know.
We could be really good friends.
I got a lot of sway right now with this, Adam.
No, I'm just playing. Put it where you want.
I think kind of looking at it, right? So from my lens, it's hard to put it anywhere above that horror purgatory, right?
Sure.
That I mentioned last week. That's that 74 to basically 100, right? Because I'm but then I'm okay, I do enjoy this more than Black Widow, right? The Rock, I probably enjoyed more than The Rock. I enjoyed more than the original Top Gun. Independence Day.
The Rock is fucking dope.
Yeah. I guess I didn't watch it a ton.
The Rock is a little. That's
so
one I might change next year.
I don't have that nostalgic. Yeah.
The Rock was fun,
Good
dude.
speed. Stanley Goodspeed.
So yeah, I'm kind of looking at that horror purgatory. I'm okay, I don't know if I can do that. And then I see Tenet. And this is one we've always kind of talked about, and I still don't think that's that bad of a film.
It is,
and I don't think it's.
All right, maybe it's not that bad, but I don't know how much higher you'd even put it. Where's it at right now?
So Tenet would be 100.
It's at 100. I just don't even. I mean, I can move it up a few, but I wouldn't put it above.
I feel like that's one movie I'm gonna come in I'm gonna watch it in November, and then I'm just gonna be guys, we fucked up. I'm gonna be coming hard for that movie next year or something.
Tenet has so much cool stuff in it.
So much potential, bro.
It has so much potential, awesome. And it was not executed to the degree it could have been executed.
I saw someone that was the key to Tenet is you have to drink every time he says, "I am the protagonist."
That might make the movie make a little more sense.
So yeah, I mean, I think simplistic terms, I'll line it up with Ty. I'll put it above Men.
Wow.
And then I think I have it below The Blackening, Blind Spotting, and Straight Outta Compton.
Guys, you can't see this because Adam's not on screen for you, but he slit his throat.
Yeah.
He there's blood everywhere. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna pass out.
It's been a pleasure. What was the official number on that one, Blake?
104, I think it is.
104. I'll match it with Ty.
You guys are the worst.
Where are you putting it?
I'm not putting it at number one. I'm not that dramatic, but and it's not better than Whiplash. I like Whiplash better, and I think I maybe maybe I have to put it right below it. Do I like this more than Midsommar? That's where I'm thinking. I'm at 15 or 16 here.
Man,
It's
yeah.
above
I know you're
Lighthouse.
high on it. Obviously,
It's
a
just,
birthday
honestly, it's
selection.
just a toss up between this and Midsommar. I think I want to lean this just because it's a
You
low.
like this over 9 days? Let's cut to the chase.
That was gonna be
Yes.
my other one on there as well too.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love 9 Days, but I do like this.
This is more of
Multiple-
a DNA movie for you than I think.
A little
9
bit.
Days is.
And to be honest, like I will be 100% honest with you guys. I've now watched this 10 times, and my enjoyment of it has fallen off a little bit. But I still
Sure.
remember the initial
Yeah.
impression I got from it, and that's what sticks with me so
Sure.
much. And I will forever hold that for this movie.
No, that's
So,
fair.
And I think we're like, if I had watched Midsommar 10 times, I don't know.
I don't know if that'd be good for you.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's an issue.
I'd be worried about your mental health.
You should be, please.
Either that or maybe you've ascended.
No,
be that.
No, it's the first one. It's so I probably will put this above Midsommar. I'll put it right below Whiplash at 15.
All right.
Well, I think this movie definitely has the record for biggest
widest
spread.
distribution. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that or E2 Mama Tambien, I think it was the other one at that point.
That one had a big spread too.
But that was also a much shorter list at the time too.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
It was. It
We
was.
gotta
But
delve
it's still
in
got a
here
good
and
spot. And
stuff like
honestly,
that.
I'd like to rewatch that movie. I think I'd like it more. But anyway, we somehow got an average rating of 72.5, which means we tiebreak it with, oh God, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. I'll just put it below it right now because you guys already are just gonna want it at 73.
I mean, that is cool that it ended up next to another musical.
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't even think about
Life.
that. Yeah.
Life imitates art, fellas.
That's the point of this movie, Blake. God damn it. All right, we'll land La La Land at 73. That was twisting the knife, bro. You can't just applaud that
Sorry.
at my darkest hour.
Sorry.
Oh God. All right. Yes.
that
Thank
better?
you. Yes, that's much better. Well, there you have it. Next week's review, ladies and gentlemen.
What's it gonna be?
Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, Part 1. Is this Part 1?
This is part 1.
Is it
Yeah.
officially titled Part 1?
Yes, it is.
All right, cool.
Hey, fellas, I think this one's gonna be good.
I'm excited.
Not
They
gonna lie.
Anyone else going in on a MI rewatch with me?
No, I rewatched
Year-
the series about a year and a half ago. I want to say a year ago. I may try to rewatch at least Fallout though.
Yeah, that's what I would say. If you could get to
Yeah.
Fallout,
I really should, shouldn't I?
I've been really enjoying the first 3. Ghost Protocol.
Dude, the third one's so good.
Yeah, it's the 4, 5, and 6 that I'm actually kind of like. I've just seen those more recently, so I'm like, we'll see.
Right.
But yeah, I'm excited. Very excited.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm as I've mentioned, I'm no longer excited or unexcited for films. I just go in with a
Man, you're so zen.
I've achieved nirvana. What can I say? I'm a true stoic. Yeah. See that? That's out Friday.
It's out now.
Did it come out this past weekend?
Yeah, it came out like Wednesday.
Oh, we should have reconsidered.
Mhm.
I thought it came out this weekend or whatever. We're not too far off. I feel like
No,
not a
we'll be
lot of
fine.
people are
You
talking
gotta
You
about
wouldn't
it.
have had time anyways.
It's correct. I would not have. So, yeah, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. Tom Cruise returns. What a
Tommy.
guy. Movies, popcorn.
Big screen. Love it.
Did you see that?
Yes, it did.
Oh, what an interesting person. Yeah, and then I'm looking at the schedule now. Give you guys a little bit of sizzle. Oppenheimer will be the following week, of course, and then Barbie the following week after that. We decided not to do the double up for back to back, even though it's like the same week. And
Spread the
Oppenheimer's,
love.
Oppenheimer's probably going to be the more popular film overall, I would say. But yeah, we'll be doing that the next couple weeks. And we have till the end of August planned out here, fellas. So
For sure.
we got some good movies coming up. It's late. And we're already an hour 20 in. I say we just wrapped the outro.
Yes, sir.
We can do what we're watching another time. I watched UFC, if you wanted to know. That's pretty much it.
Good UFC.
It was,
Great card.
It was a good card, yeah. I don't know if I can go all in like you, though.
It's takes a different breed.
Yeah, I think I'm fine watching it when it's on a sports bar.
Sure.
Which is how I've been watching it primarily, or off of illegal streaming sites on Discord with my friends. Those are like the two main places I watch fights. Yeah, I watched 2 fights from this one, and they were entertaining. So I was like, can I get into this? And I was just like, you know what? Nathaniel showed me like 30 minutes of like fighting technique one day, and I was just, I don't know if I can commit to that.
You don't have to go that deep, bro. You are more than welcome to be a filthy casual, as the majority of the world is.
I know. I'm just kidding.
No one needs to go as hard as I have.
Yeah, but no, I don't know if I can follow that. There's so many people in that thing, you know.
It's true.
Yeah, I'll stick with F1. I love the 20 drivers, man. I know all their names.
I love it. It's so good.
It's so nice. Although I say that, and I haven't watched a race in probably a month.
Massive news.
Danny Rick is back.
Is he?
Let's go.
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
Yeah, he's taking over for the extra Alpha Tauri seat.
Oh, I heard that. Because Nick DeVries.
This is out. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard he was sucking.
Yeah. So
Dropped his ass.
Danny Rick is back.
Good. That's awesome.
Insane. So hyped.
Yeah. Well, I wonder what he'll do in that AlphaTauri. Maybe nothing.
Who knows?
Who knows?
I don't know if they said when he was doing tire testing in the British or at the end of the British Grand Prix over the weekend that he was putting up lap times that would have put him on the front row.
We'll see about that.
We'll see.
But Lando Norris.
Yeah, he came.
Who would have thought?
McLaren in general was great.
Yeah, they had what did Piastri
3-4.
place? He was. Oh, they were 3-4. Okay, because I knew they were 2-3 on the podium or on the starting line.
Correct.
Yeah, I was shocked to see that, given where they were at the beginning of the season.
Or did Lando finish second? So it was 2-4.
Okay, 2-4.
Yeah, Hamilton was in between them.
Oh, he got a podium. Nice. Was that his first of the season?
Yeah.
Good for him. I don't know if he'll ever win a race again.
You never know, bro.
He's won enough. Okay, I don't need him. I don't feel bad for him, to be
Wouldn't
honest.
put it past
he's
him.
goat.
Yeah, he's great. He had his time. I don't really feel bad if he doesn't win it again. Like, it's okay.
All right, let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here. Nathaniel, any 5-star reviews?
No 5-star reviews, but you can review us in Apple Podcasts. Give us a 5-star review, and I'll read it out on the podcast. You can say whatever you like. Just don't be evil. Thanks.
Yeah. You can also send us an email at backrowbanterpod@gmail.com. If you have anything you'd like us to know, any questions for us to answer, any movie recommendations, things you want us to review. We don't review new movies every week, obviously. So if there's a movie you want to review, I think the only suggestion we've ever taken and reviewed was Inception. For like,
It's true.
I think that's the only one that's ever been requested. So give us some recs. Maybe other movies, like, it'd be fun to do a movie where none of us have seen it, but it's
true.
not a new movie, you know?
Good luck.
Yeah, that's going to be hard.
There's got to be some out there.
Oh, there's definitely some out there. But yeah, send us some recs. We'd love to hear them, and maybe we'll get your movie on the pod. In addition to that, of course, you can share the podcast, share with a friend, family member, a jazz player, or an actress.
Either or.
Either or. While you're doing that, also follow us on Twitter at Banter Row, on Instagram at Back Row Banter Pod, and our YouTube is just Back Row Banter. Please go subscribe to us there. I want to get us to, I forgot what the threshold is for subscribers. I think it's 100 to get youtube.com/Back Row Banter. Right now, it's a jumble of letters and numbers, and that's
So close.
That's sad. Yeah, I can't just like hand out the URL all friendly.
Yeah.
It's a little hard,
Fair
but
enough.
yeah, go subscribe to us there, please. Like I said, even if it's not your primary player still listening, I know you have a YouTube account. Don't lie to me. So just go subscribe. It's easy. You just press a button, and then you're done. If you just search Back Row Banter, it's like 3 steps. It'll take you 2 minutes, and it helps us out a lot. BlakeHolder, where can the people find you at, my man?
Letterboxd, BlakeHolder. I'll be on there logging some things, rating them out of 5 stars. Didn't have any reviews this week for La La Land. Wasn't a big fan. But, no, you find me there.
Fair enough, man.
You can always find me at on Twitter and Letterboxd at NSGangricker. You can find me on Instagram at NathanielG92. Sandpiper Tapes is my other podcast. Tyler, where can people find you?
Twitter, Letterboxd, Instagram, Tyler Bass, VIDALES. Adam.
I'm on Twitter at Aish24 and on Letterboxd at Aish. That's AYYSH. That's going to do it here, folks, for episode 154. Thank you all for listening, especially if you made it this far into the episode. You're my favorite type of listener, and we really do appreciate it. Join us next week for our review of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. We'll be RB.
Be excellent to each other, everyone, and we will be RB.
Thanks for stopping by. We appreciate everything you do to kind of help us grow. And most of all, we appreciate you being here. But yeah, take care of one another. Be kind, and we'll be RB.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for.
Somehow Blake's audio got cut off, but I believe this is where he says, thank you all for listening and for the support as always. If you're doing something you love every day, you're doing it the right way. I believe that's all he says, something like that. Anyway, we will be RB.
America. Ready for another lesson.
So is this like another 15 minutes and then like the teacher's late so we don't have to like
I mean, yeah, I ideally don't want to start at 10. I think even at this point, I'm thinking just a review, like we'll skip what we're watching entirely. That is unfortunate, though. Tech problems are infuriating. One day it works, and then you turn it on tomorrow, and it doesn't work, and you're just like, I just sat up, I just got up. Went to sleep.
Hey.
Just a fucking nightmare.
Yo.
Technology never
Oh.
fucking works
I
when you want it
was
to.
I was just saying how miserable technology makes me feel sometimes.
Yeah, that was right on cue for you jumping in. Ty.
Yeah.
Fucking insane.
What was the problem? You said your what you
It
said your Xbox
was-
connected
yeah.
TVs?
It was it's stupid because like sometimes these fucking like PCs are just temperamental and they're like internet's connected but not secured, and it's like, well, great, now I gotta fucking
What
run
does that
through
mean?
8 different things to see why the fuck it isn't secured.
Yeah.
So then I fucking check properties on fucking adapters, make sure fucking drivers are fucking updated, and it's just a fucking stupid ass
Yep.
nightmare of bullshit.
Yep.
And sometimes all you have to do is reset your modem and just cross your fingers, and then it works. And you know, I'm not saying that's what happened now, but you know, it could have that could have been what happened.
Is that what happened?
Did you try turning it off and back on again?
I'm not at liberty to say.
Okay. Are you under NDA?
Yes.
Okay. Who by who? Netgear? Do they got our boy hostage?
Yep.